We're breaking down the median 401k balance by age in today's episode. So if you've wondered if you're behind for your age, if you're actually way ahead or anywhere in between, this episode is for you. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back, guys. If you like today's content, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so that you can keep getting content just like this. And of course, if you need help with your own financial plan, whether that's tax planning, retirement planning, coming up with a more robust investment plan that aligns with your financial goals, whatever it may be, reach out to us at www.modernwealth.com. That's modern, spelt with no vowels, wealth.com. So the 401k custodian Empower, and if you're not familiar with Empower is one of the largest 401k providers in the United States. So think like a Vanguard, Fidelity, Empower, right? They're on that level of how big they are in providing 401k plans to employees all over the United States. Empower went ahead and did a study based off of account holders there to see what the median 401k balance is across age groups. And so this is data as of January 2024. So this is relatively fresh data. This isn't old information, depending on when you are listening or watching to this. So let's go ahead and just dive into it. So they broke it down by decades. So 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So let's go ahead and start with 20s. So the median 401k balance for individuals in their 20s is $29,753. $29,753. Okay, so that's for folks in their 20s. Folks in their 30s, we're looking at $69,718. $69,718 for folks in their 30s. 40s, we're at $151,274. $151,274. Now, folks in their 50s, right? So these are folks starting to either retire or start to really think about retiring. We're looking at a balance of $247,338. $247,338. And based off of this data, that seems to be the peak of median 401k balance. From here on out, it looks as if the data suggests that folks start to spend down their 401k balances, which, as a financial planner, makes sense, right? As people start to enter into their 60s, generally speaking, it makes sense to begin to utilize those dollars in some way, whether you're spending it, whether you're doing Roth conversions, etc. So when we get to 60s, we're looking at a balance of $209,382. So $209,382. And when we get to the 70s demographic, $103,219. And when we get to 80s, we're down to $78,534. So again, as of the recording of this, this is the first time that I'm seeing this data. It's not like I've been, knowing this data for a long time. I saw this data and thought, it'd be kind of cool to maybe make an episode on it. Kind of my initial thoughts on it, just from my initial glance. Peak 401k balance in your 50s, right? That makes a lot of sense. Seeing that pretty significant drawdown to 80s, all the way down to 78,000, that makes sense. It also makes sense why there's, a lot of issues right now in the United States with folks not able to afford long-term care costs, right? The average long-term care costs in the United States just for a year of long-term care is, upwards of over $60,000. And you're seeing that eviscerate people's retirement savings. I mean, a lot of that data really shows that aggressive spend down later on in life. And then, of course, looking at some of those earlier numbers, folks in their 20s only being at around $30,000 in median 401k savings, and then all of a sudden jumping it all the way up to roughly 70,000 in their 30s, and then 151,000 in their 40s. This definitely shows this trend. Not always, but a lot of folks, when they're younger, don't really prioritize retirement savings, for better or worse. I mean, sometimes folks are focused on paying off high interest debt. Maybe they're buying their first home, right? They're doing a lot of important things that they need to do. But there are folks that are just, flat out not really thinking about it until it's starting to get too late. And they're thinking, oh, shoot, I probably should do something about it. So, I mean, those are some of my raw reactions to it. Now, if you're looking at this data and you are behind, you are someone who is behind for your age group, what are some things that you can do to perhaps catch up? Well, first and foremost, if you've listened to any of my podcasts or videos in the past, I'm a huge proponent of having some sort of budgeting app in your life track your spending for you, right? I think it's incredibly important to understand where you're spending, how much you're spending, and what that looks like on a month-to-month basis. Not just guess, not just you in some Excel sheet guessing how much you spend, but actually having some data with an app that tracks the analytics to the penny. And the reason why I believe that's so important is because if you feel like you're behind saving for retirement and you want to make improvements to save more for retirement, well, you need to know where you're spending. Where can you change your budget to fit in more retirement savings so that it's reasonable and you don't have to eat canned beans and ramen every single night to get that done. So that would be the first thing that I would suggest, is get some sort of budget app. There's tons of them out there. If you need some suggestions, go ahead and Google it. I'm sure you're going to find tons of apps that are out there. At Modern Wealth, we have our own app that we utilize for our clients, but there's tons of free ones out there that you can utilize. Now, once you know how much you're spending and how much is going out the door to perhaps non-retirement savings, it's time to get serious about retirement savings. And I think the easiest way to do that is to make it easy on yourself. Automate it as much as possible. I know that there's tons of video guides and articles out there that, recommend just taking advantage of the match that your 401k provides, and then focusing on doing like a backdoor Roth or a Roth, and then going back to your 401k because you have more flexibility in your investment options, and it's maybe lower costs, etc. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of that because it's more manual. It's a lot more manual intensive. I'm more of a fan of, if you can automate the process and have money go to retirement without you thinking twice about it, that's the easiest way to save for retirement. And the easiest way to do that is probably just dial up how much of your paycheck is going to your 401k. It's as easy as that. Just dial it up. If you're putting in only 4% towards retirement, bump it up to 5, bump it up to 6, right? Automate it as much as possible. Do slow little increases to dip your toe in the water. And over time, I guarantee you're going to double your 401k contributions and not even think twice about it. So automate it as much as possible. Now, after you've automated your retirement savings, you've got your budget in order, you know what your cash flow looks like, you're doing all the right things. Now, if you want to maximize your Roth, take advantage of a backdoor Roth if you're not eligible to directly contribute to a Roth IRA, then by all means, be my guest and take advantage of those tools to catch up your retirement nest egg. Now, on the flip side, if you are someone who looked at this data and you're thinking, man, I am light years ahead of my age group, first and foremost, congratulations to you. Great job saving. You're clearly doing something right, but there's always room for improvement. So if you fall in this camp, here's just a couple things to consider. First and foremost, you'd always think about the Mega Backdoor Roth. If you're not familiar with the Mega Backdoor Roth, go check out our video guide that we did on the Mega Backdoor Roth. Again, not all 401k plans offer it, but if your plan does, and you are light years ahead of saving for retirement, and you want to juice it up even more, and you have the money to do so, maybe the Mega Backdoor Roth makes sense to incorporate within your overall financial plan. Next thing to consider is to build up your brokerage account. This might be the most important tip that I give you here. A lot of people sleep on building up that brokerage account. If you're not familiar with what a brokerage account is, it's a non-retirement account. It's an after-tax account with money that you've already paid tax on and money that grows in it. There's no special tax benefit. What ends up happening with a lot of folks in retirement is they end up very top heavy in retirement assets. Almost all of their money is in tax deferred accounts like a 401k. So you get somebody with maybe a net worth, not including their home, of let's call it $500,000, and every penny of that is virtually in a 401k. Well, if all that money is in a 401k and it's tax deferred, that means you're going to pay taxes on that later, right? You're sitting on this big tax bomb. Wouldn't it be nice to have some pockets of your balance sheet where you could dip into where you didn't have to worry about paying taxes, right? That's why a Roth is great. Well, it's also not everyone can funnel a bunch of money to a Roth. And so a brokerage account can be a nice way to complement that if you don't have a bunch of money in a Roth, but you want to diversify away from just having all your money in a tax-deferred retirement account. So again, if you're way ahead here, I strongly encourage you to think about building up that after-tax brokerage account to supplement your retirement balance sheet. And again, in addition to having that, the brokerage account is nice to allow you to save for non-retirement goals too. If you're thinking about saving up for a vacation home, a second home, whatever it may be, right? That brokerage account can allow you to do that. Whereas money in your retirement account is oftentimes locked away and put away for retirement for way down the road. So there you have it, guys. That is the 2024 median 401k balance by age. A big shout out to Empower for putting all that information together. If you feel like you need to optimize your retirement plan, reach out to us at www.modernwealth.com. That's modern, spelled with no vowels, wealth.com. It's been a ton of fun, guys, and I'll see you next time.